What? What do you mean I wasn't accepted into the Mecha Break beta?
Hello, everybody.
Big robots?
Big robots?
Big robots.
Big robots! Glad that wasn't us.
I'm not. Don't worry, I've brushed up on my Chinese. Subaru, Honda, Nissan, Mecha Break, Mitsubishi.
That's Japanese, you idiot.
Shut up, I've got this. Ford Fiesta.
Oh, what a moment, please.
We need to get the Americans out of our building.
Okay, just give both of the Americans a beta code.
Are you sure about that?
Jason, they are Americans. We do not want them to bring any of their American problems here. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Okay,
Ow.
get the hell out of my building.
Ever since Bandai Namco took Gundam Evolution behind a shed and Old Yellered it, I've been looking for a new mech game to play. Luckily, while the corpse of Gundam Evolution was still fresh, we were blessed by the announcement trailer for Mecha Break at the Game Awards. Because the Game Awards are good for one thing, and that sure as hell is not being an award show. Either way, I wasn't accepted into the original Mecha Break playtest. However, this time I was. Now, it should go without saying that since this is a beta, it is not indicative of the final product. Things are liable to change here, and so is my opinion. First things first, Mecha Break plays nothing like Gundam Evolution. I know, shocking. But if you have more than 2 brain cells, you could have probably told that from the announcement trailer. The actual game plays a lot more like Armored Core fused with a hero shooter.
Blah blah. How about you tell them what the game is really like then? This beta has 3 game modes. Battlefield, which is the standard 6v6, Arena, the non-objective based 3v3, and the other mode we're not allowed to talk about for fear of having another Nintendo Ninja incident.
Please help, they're right outside my door listening into the script.
Most of those game modes were fun. I definitely preferred Battlefield mode. I would have liked to try Arena a little bit more, but that lobby was filled with sweats.
Battlefield mode was fun, but some maps definitely felt unbalanced when it came to certain strikers.
Like Panther?
Please don't bring up my past trauma.
Bro, some of these strikers felt like they were specifically designed to make players smash a keyboard against a wall. Panther and Aquila come to mind. Of the 11 available mechs, these 2 I struggled against the most. Despite that, I still enjoyed playing quite a bit. My favorite suits were the Alisnez and the Falcon. Alisnez was a great melee mid-range combat mech that had a set of exterior armor. Once its armor is shed, its moveset changes and it becomes much faster at the price of having no shield. Falcon, on the other hand, was a high-speed mech with a jet mode. It was great for quick strafing runs to melt enemy shields. It also could detect stealth enemies, which is crucial because sniper mechs will prolapse your asshole in this game.
Now that's a lot of damage!
I gravitated towards Hurricane and Lumine personally. Lumine being the standard support class of a team shooter, granting slow but stackable healing with drones and energy regeneration to nearby allies. Unfortunately, this was only useful in 1v1s or patch jobs between combat encounters because any more than a light sneeze and you can outdamage the healing. Hurricane, however, was admittedly overtuned. Arguably the strongest mech of the beta, sporting lock-on disruption, AoE, anti-range dome shield, anti-melee parry, area denial drones, single target burst damage, and surprisingly, not the worst mobility in the game. A lot of this imbalance can be solved just by tweaking numbers. Each shield drone had more HP than your mom, and when you can summon 2 of them every 10 seconds, it becomes almost impossible to actually damage Hurricane itself without burning your entire kit. At which point, Hurricane would just retaliate by doing the same. Unfortunately for you, Hurricane had protein powder served over a fistful of vengeance for breakfast this morning, so say goodbye to your HP. There's definitely counters like Welkin's drone removal or a very persistent Panther, but both require you to get close enough to beat the snot out of the Hurricane, and they're not going to make that easy.
Yeah, Einstein. Those suits were cool, but did you mod them?
No.
Well, I did, and I had no idea what I was doing. One thing I didn't quite like about Mecha Break was the lack of loadout customization. You can't really change your mech's kit, which makes sense, this is a hero shooter after all, but one of the coolest things about mecha games is the ability to modify your machine to your liking. In lieu of this, players can access loot boxes that give mods to alter the stats and performance of their strikers. I don't know how this is going to affect the competitive scene, if there is a competitive scene. Honestly, I could do without it, as it feels completely unnecessary.
On the bright side, cosmetic customization was fantastic. The overall choices for models or outfits were low, but for both pilot and mech, being able to change the color of individual pieces of your outfit or armor to whatever you want gives you effectively infinite customization, as long as you have the paint. I was pleasantly surprised at even hearing a few familiar voice actors like Cassandra Lee Morris and Kimberly Woods. My personal choice in pilot voice definitely not due to any of her prior roles or anything.
Here's an example. Let's say you find a bear eating your crops, so you say, "Hey, get out of here, fur face, or you're in for a world of hurt."
Now that we've gotten the informative part out of the way, we can tell you our actual thoughts about the beta. I left the beta with an overall positive impression. The gameplay is fun, and unlike other mech-based hero shooters, this game feels like it's an actual mecha game. The 6v6 mode had some really fun matches, though I did run into a couple balancing problems that made certain matches feel impossible to recover from. There were also some user interface problems, like locking people out of mechs even when they haven't been selected. This is the worst problem outside of balancing for me personally. There were multiple times where someone just didn't change their machine, forcing me to choose a mech I didn't want to, only for them to change at the last second, freeing up the mech I actually wanted to play right before the mecha select part ended. All that being said, when everything comes together, you get one of the mechs you want, the game mode isn't one of the boring ones, and no one has selected Panther or Aquila. It's not a skill issue, I swear. The game is super fun, and I want to play this more. A lot of the problems I had could likely be solved with patches, so I'm invested in the future of Mecha Break. I could definitely see myself casually playing this game for years after launch.
Right there with you. I love this beta, but there are some glaring flaws that rear their head every once in a while. To start, only 11 suits means that even if everyone in a match tries to choose unique mechs, you have at least one overlap on both teams. Which isn't inherently a problem, but I can see this getting old pretty quick when you have at best 50% of the roster to choose from by the time your team locks their choices in. Most of my gripes were about how the game ran, and while I don't mean literally, I also mean literally. My 3070 Ti, while not the best anymore, is a capable GPU, but struggled to hit 100 FPS on 1440p, even with universally low settings. Outside of the literal sense, I felt this game had too much slowing the experience down. Yeah, seeing the camera pan around your selected mech is cool, and the nice shot every time you queue into a match is funny, but all this extra time feels completely unnecessary. Switching menu tabs has me waiting for the camera, a 1-minute queue ends up being over 3 minutes with the selection period and debriefing, and a 20-second respawn punishment turns into 32 seconds with eject and re-entry. I get that a lot of this is to hide load screens, but when I just sit there hearing the whirring of my mech wanting to launch just as much as I do, I wonder if everything prior even had a technical use to begin with. Speaking of wanting to get in, the drop-in respawn to reposition yourself is great and all, but you're pretty much at the mercy of wherever the camera decides to face you. And if you really want to be mean, pick a melee unit and land right on top of an enemy. They won't be able to see you until it's too late anyway. All this being said, I had so much fun in the 3v3 mode. Respawn punishment wasn't near as bad, the potential for getting mugged in a backstreet alley for all your lunch money is severely reduced, the game was overall faster, and who doesn't love a good slugfest? Although given the lower damage potential on both sides, any unit that has some form of damage mitigation becomes exponentially stronger, which can have its own balance issues separate from the other modes that rely on 6 team members. All in all, I'm excited to see where Mecha Break will land on my weekly game schedule.
Before we finish this video, I want to give a shout out to my boy TSG, who helped me with this video. It wouldn't have been able to be done without him, mainly because I'm really lazy. I'll have a link to his channel in the description below. Please give it a look if you have the time. As always, feel free to like, subscribe, or cancel me on Twitter. None of this shit matters anyway.